Become dangerously focused. There is a kind of focus that frightens people. Not because it is aggressive, not because it is loud, but because it is completely, utterly, unmovably locked in. The person who carries this kind of focus walks into a room and something shifts. They speak less. They observe more. They waste nothing, not their time, not their energy, not their attention. And while everyone around them is distracted, scattered, overwhelmed by the noise of modern life, they are building, quietly, consistently, unstoppably. This is what it means to become dangerously focused. And by the time this is over, you will know exactly how to become that person. Welcome to where ancient wisdom meets your modern life. The focus crisis nobody is talking about. We are living through the greatest attention crisis in human history, and almost nobody is treating it with the seriousness it deserves. The average person picks up their phone dozens of times a day without even deciding to. Notifications fire constantly. News cycles spin endlessly. Social media algorithms are engineered by some of the most brilliant minds on the planet, with one single goal: to keep your attention for as long as possible, at any cost. And they are winning. Because the average person today cannot sit with a single thought for more than a few minutes before reaching for distraction, cannot work on one thing deeply without interruption, cannot be present in a conversation without part of their mind drifting elsewhere. And here is the devastating consequence of that. A scattered mind cannot build anything great. A distracted life cannot produce anything lasting. A person who cannot control their attention cannot control their destiny. The Stoics saw attention as the most sacred resource a human being possesses. More valuable than money. More powerful than talent. More rare than intelligence. Because everything, every achievement, every relationship, every transformation, begins with where you choose to place your attention. And right now, most people have surrendered that choice completely. What dangerous focus actually looks like. Let us be clear about what we mean when we say dangerously focused. We are not talking about obsession. We are not talking about ignoring your health, your relationships, your humanity in the pursuit of productivity. That is not focus. That is imbalance wearing the costume of ambition. Dangerous focus is something far more refined than that. It is the ability to be completely present in whatever you are doing, without the constant pull of elsewhere. It is working on your most important task with full mental engagement, not half your mind on the work and half scrolling through what everyone else is doing. It is having a conversation and actually listening, not waiting for your turn to speak while mentally composing your response. It is sitting with discomfort long enough to move through it, instead of immediately reaching for the nearest distraction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Not the notification on your phone. Not the opinion of someone across the world. The present. This moment. This task. This person. This breath. That is where your power lives. That is where everything real gets built." And the person who can consistently return to that present moment, who can anchor themselves there when everything around them is pulling them away, that person is genuinely dangerous in the best possible way. The enemy of your focus. Before you can build dangerous focus, you must clearly identify what is destroying it. And it is not just your phone. It goes much deeper than that. The first enemy is unresolved emotion. An anxious mind cannot focus. A grieving mind cannot focus. A mind carrying unspoken resentment, unprocessed fear, unexamined shame, cannot give its full attention to anything. Because those emotions are always running in the background. Consuming mental bandwidth. Pulling your attention inward at the exact moment you need it directed outward. This is why the Stoics placed such enormous emphasis on inner work. Not as a spiritual luxury, but as a practical necessity. A clear mind is a focused mind. And a focused mind is a powerful mind. The second enemy is the need for constant stimulation. We have trained our brains to expect novelty every few seconds. And when reality does not deliver that novelty fast enough, we reach for our devices to supply it artificially. The result is a mind that has lost its capacity for depth, that schemes the surface of everything and goes deep into nothing. Deep work, the kind that produces extraordinary results, requires the ability to sit with something long enough to truly understand it, to wrestle with it, to go beneath the obvious layer and find what is hidden underneath. That capacity is being systematically destroyed by our consumption habits. The third enemy is lack of clarity. You cannot focus on something you have not clearly defined. Vague goals produce scattered effort. When you do not know precisely what you are working toward, your mind has no target, and a mind without a target wanders. This is why the most focused people in the world are almost always the most clear people in the world. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly why they want it. And that clarity acts like a magnetic force, pulling their attention back every time it drifts. The Stoic foundation of dangerous focus. The Stoics were perhaps the greatest practitioners of focused living the world has ever seen. And their approach was built on one foundational principle: do fewer things, but do them completely. In a world that celebrates busyness, that treats a packed schedule as a badge of honor, this philosophy is almost revolutionary. But think about what happens when you try to do everything. You do nothing well. You are always moving but never arriving. Always busy but never productive. Always occupied but never fulfilled. Marcus Aurelius, who managed an entire empire, wrote about the importance of doing less. Not as an excuse for laziness, but as a strategy for excellence. He understood that attention is finite, that energy is finite, and that spreading either too thin guarantees mediocrity in everything. The person who commits fully to 3 things will always outperform the person who dabbles in 30. Seneca said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." That sentence should stop you completely. To be everywhere, pursuing every opportunity, saying yes to every request, consuming every piece of content, chasing every shiny possibility, is to be nowhere. Present nowhere. Excellent nowhere. Truly alive nowhere. Dangerous focus requires the courage to say no to almost everything, so you can say a full and complete yes to the things that actually matter. The art of deep work. There is a quality of work that most people have never experienced. Not because they are not capable of it, but because the conditions for it are increasingly rare. It is called deep work, and it is the state of giving your complete, undivided, fully engaged attention to a single cognitively demanding task for an extended period of time, without interruption. In this state, the quality of what you produce is not just better. It is categorically different from what a distracted mind can create. Problems that seemed unsolvable suddenly yield solutions. Connections between ideas become visible that were previously hidden. Creative breakthroughs happen not by accident, but as the natural result of sustained, focused engagement. This is where the truly great work of the world gets done. Not in the fragments between notifications, not in the shallow half-attention of a multitasking mind, but in the deep, quiet, focused hours where a human mind fully engages with something that matters. And here is the uncomfortable truth about that. Deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the moment it is becoming increasingly valuable. The world is moving faster. Demands are increasing. Distractions are multiplying. Most people are becoming less capable of sustained focus with every passing year. Which means the person who deliberately builds this capacity, who protects their deep work hours the way a warrior protects sacred ground, is positioning themselves for a level of output and achievement that most people will never reach. This is one of the greatest competitive advantages available to any person alive today. And it costs nothing but discipline. Building your focus like a warrior. The Stoics did not stumble into focus. They built it deliberately, through daily practice, through consistent discipline, through the same commitment they brought to physical training, because they understood that the mind is a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows stronger through resistance, through challenge, through being pushed beyond its current comfort zone. Here is how to build yours. Start with 1 protected hour. Every day, before the world gets loud, protect 1 hour for your most important work. No phone, no messages, no interruptions. Just you and the thing that matters most. This single practice, done consistently, will produce more meaningful results than any productivity system or time management tool ever invented. because it is not about managing time. It is about protecting attention. Train your focus like an athlete trains their body. Begin with shorter focus sessions and build gradually. Start with focused work for a short period. Rest. Then return. Extend the duration over time as your capacity grows. This is not weakness. This is intelligent training. An athlete does not run a marathon on their first day of training. They build to it, systematically, patiently, with respect for the process. Your mind works the same way. Create an environment that supports focus. Your environment is either working for your focus or against it. There is no neutral ground. Phone in another room. Notifications off. A clean workspace. A clear intention for what you are working on and why it matters. The Stoics were deeply aware of how environment shapes behavior. They were intentional about where they spent their time, who they spent it with, and what they allowed into their immediate surroundings. You must be equally intentional. Use boredom as training. This sounds counterintuitive, but it is one of the most powerful focus-building practices available. When you feel the urge to reach for your phone, wait. Sit with the discomfort. Let your mind wander without feeding it stimulation. In that boredom, something important is happening. Your mind is learning to tolerate the absence of constant input. It is rebuilding its capacity for stillness, for depth, for the kind of quiet engagement that produces extraordinary work. Boredom is not the enemy of focus. It is the training ground for it. What you are really protecting. Here is the deeper truth beneath everything we have discussed. When you protect your focus, you are not just protecting your productivity. You are protecting your identity. Because what you give your attention to consistently over time is what you become. The person who gives their attention primarily to other people's highlight reels on social media gradually becomes someone defined by comparison and inadequacy. The person who gives their attention primarily to outrage and conflict gradually becomes someone whose inner world is filled with anger and division. The person who gives their attention primarily to growth, to learning, to building, to creating, gradually becomes someone of genuine depth, genuine capability, genuine wisdom. Your attention is not just a resource. It is a sculptor, and it is sculpting you, right now, whether you are directing it consciously or not. The question is not whether your attention is shaping you. It always is. The question is, are you choosing the shape? The focused life and what it produces. Let us talk about what actually happens when you commit to becoming dangerously focused. Not in theory, but in real, practical, lived experience. Your work improves. Not gradually, dramatically, because you are finally bringing your full mind to what you do instead of a fraction of it. Your relationships deepen, because you are finally fully present with the people you care about instead of physically there but mentally elsewhere. Your sense of purpose sharpens, because when you stop fragmenting your attention across 1,000 things, the things that truly matter to you become unmistakably clear. Your confidence grows, because confidence is built through completion, through finishing what you start, through showing yourself repeatedly that you can commit to something and see it through. And focused people finish things. Your peace expands, because a focused mind is a quieter mind. The internal noise, the endless mental chatter, the anxiety of being behind, the guilt of distraction, begins to fade when you are genuinely engaged with your life. And perhaps most importantly, your relationship with time transforms completely. You stop feeling like life is happening too fast, like you are always behind, like the days are slipping through your hands before you can grip them. Because when you are truly present, truly focused, time expands. Moments become richer. Days feel fuller. And you begin to feel, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that you are actually living your life rather than watching it pass. The identity of the focused person. We need to talk about identity, because this is where lasting change actually lives. Habits come and go. Motivation rises and falls. Strategies get applied and abandoned. But identity, who you believe yourself to be at the deepest level, that is consistent. That is durable. That shapes behavior even when discipline is low and motivation has disappeared. So the question is not just, how do I become more focused? The deeper question is, am I becoming someone who is focused? Because when focus becomes part of who you are, not just something you do, it stops requiring so much effort. It stops feeling like a battle against your own impulses. It becomes natural. It becomes automatic. It becomes simply the way you move through the world. And that shift from doing focused things to being a focused person is the shift that changes everything. Begin to speak about yourself differently. Begin to make decisions the way a focused person would make them. Begin to protect your attention the way a focused person protects theirs. Not because you have fully arrived yet, but because you are choosing, right now, who you are becoming. And every choice made in alignment with that identity makes the next choice easier. This is how character is built. This is how the Stoics understood transformation. Not as a sudden event, but as a daily practice of becoming. The world needs your focused mind. Here is something worth sitting with. Your focus is not just about you. The work you are capable of producing when you are fully engaged, the problems you can solve, the lives you can touch, the things you can create and build and contribute, that matters beyond your own life. The world does not need more distracted, scattered, half-present people going through the motions. The world needs people who show up completely, who think deeply, who build with intention, who create from a place of genuine engagement and genuine care. Your focused mind is a gift, not just to yourself, but to everyone your life touches. Your children watching you work with discipline and presence. Your colleagues experiencing what genuine engagement looks like. Your community benefiting from the work only you, with your unique perspective and fully engaged attention, can produce. Do not underestimate what your focus makes possible. Not just for your own ambitions, but for the world that needs what only you can offer when you are fully, completely, dangerously present. You came into this world with a mind capable of extraordinary things. Not ordinary things dressed up as extraordinary, but genuinely, deeply, remarkably extraordinary things. And that capacity has not gone anywhere. It has simply been buried, under the noise, under the distraction, under the endless fragmentation of modern life. But it is still there, waiting, ready. And it becomes available to you the moment you decide, truly decide, that your attention belongs to you, that your focus is sacred, that you will no longer give it away cheaply to everything and everyone competing for it. That decision, made today and remade every morning, is the beginning of a different kind of life. A life of depth, of meaning, of genuine achievement, of presence so complete that the people around you feel it, of work so focused that the results speak for themselves. This is what it means to become dangerously focused. This is the wisdom. If this moved something in you today, if you felt even one moment of recognition, one spark of truth, subscribe right now. Hit the notification bell. Share this with someone who is ready to reclaim their mind and build something extraordinary with it. Because the world is waiting for what you will produce when you finally stop being distracted and start being dangerous. We will see you in the next one.